Mr. X's class. We're talking today about the word identical. It's an adjective. It just has one meaning on your card. It means exactly the same in every detail. So not almost the same, not kind of the same, exactly the same. So for example, identical twins have the exact same genes. Genes, exactly the same. They, during their lives, different things happen to them, but their genes are identical. Or we could say, in a modern factory that has an assembly line, like with people, or now a lot of times it's robots, right, even, that put things together, all the pieces are exactly the same. So parts made in a factory on an assembly line are identical to each other. Compared to if a person is making something, it's going to be slightly different every time. Identical, exactly the same. In Spanish, idéntico. Word families, identically, and I'm sure you know what part of speech that is. Adverb, excellent. That's an adverb. Identically, in an identical way. In an identical way. Okay, identity. What's that part of speech?
Noun.
Noun. Identity, identidad. So that is basically the idea, often for a person, or it could be like an organization or a group, that person or group's idea about who he or she is. Mm-hmm. So your identity is, so it's related to this, but not exactly, it's slightly different definition, right? Identity is a person, or sometimes a group, idea about who he or she, or it, for the group, is. So it's not other people's ideas about you, it's your ideas about yourself. And we talk a lot about that people form their identity a lot when they're teenagers. That's a big time when we question who we are and how am I different from my parents, who am I, and you get an idea of who you are. And then people continue to change their identity sometimes during their lives when different things happen. Identity is a noun. Okay, identify with an F is what?
It's a verb.
Verb. Identify, yes. Synonyms for identical, alike, equal, or the same. Antonym, different. And questions so far? So as usual, we're going to finish the video. And then after the video, each student will write a sentence on the whiteboard, which gives me a chance to give some feedback and formative assessment. So that's the next step after this. Right now we're just presenting because it's a video. So sentence related to literature, there's a word called a Doppelganger, which comes from German. Doppelganger in literature. So that's an evil twin. So basically, they're horror stories with evil twins. So a Doppelganger appears identical to a person, looks the same, but often shows his or her worst characteristics. So there's a famous story that I read by a Russian writer, Dostoevsky, where there's this character who suddenly, this person identical to him starts showing up in his life, and everybody confuses them, and in the end, that person takes his job and takes his family, and he has nothing, right? Because everybody thinks that the other guy is him. So, yeah, it kind of plays with identity and fears about our identity, who we are, and maybe I don't know who I am. Somebody else could be me almost or something. That's kind of what it comes from. So the word identical, so appears, looks exactly the same. A doppelganger looks exactly the same, but they're evil compared to you, compared to the main character. Questions about any of this? No? Okay, thank you so much, Samuel, for recording, and thanks for watching.